Your retinol is about to get weaker. Your favorite sunscreen is being quietly reformulated. And that one night cream that finally calmed your skin down? The company that makes it got sold 6 months ago, and nobody's saying what happens next. This isn't a panic video. I don't do those. But something strange is going on in skincare right now, and the people who notice it first aren't the influencers. It's the buyers in Sephora's back office, the formulation chemists who've been laid off and started talking, and the dermatologists who keep getting the same question from patients. Why does my cream feel different lately? I spent the last few weeks pulling the thread. What came back was a list of 9 products and entire categories that are either being reformulated behind closed doors, getting hit by new ingredient laws most people haven't heard of, or just selling out faster than brands can restock. Some of these you'll recognize immediately. A couple of them are sitting in your bathroom right now. And number 1, I'm telling you up front, go check your shelf tonight. Because once the current batches sell through, the version of that product you know is not coming back the same. Save the video, let's start the countdown. Number 9. And we're starting with the one most people in the comments will argue about. Fermented Korean and Japanese essences. The watery first step toners with rice ferment, yeast filtrate, the whole glass skin category. These are getting harder to find on Western shelves than anyone's saying out loud. The green bottle one everyone talks about has been on rolling back order for months. On resale sites, it's going for 50 to 70% above retail. And it's not just one brand. There are maybe 3 or 4 factories in Asia that produce the fermentation base for most of the essences sold globally, and those factories are at capacity. Shipping costs out of Korea doubled last year. The math stopped working for some smaller brands, and they're quietly pulling out of the US market without announcements. If a fermented essence is the reason your skin started behaving, don't wait for the next restock email. Buy when you see stock, even if it's a size you don't usually grab. The people who follow this category professionally are buying 2s and 3s right now. There's a reason. Number 8. Mid-strength retinol. And this one is bigger than most viewers realize because it's not a rumor, it's already happening. The EU passed a regulation capping over-the-counter retinol at 0.3% in face products. Brands sell into Europe whether you live there or not, and reformulating 1 SKU per region is expensive. So most global brands are quietly bringing every market down to the same cap. If you've been using a 0.5 or 1% retinol that actually moved the needle on your skin, the version on the shelf next year is almost certainly going to be weaker. Some brands are switching to retinol or to encapsulated retinoid esters, which can be excellent, but they behave differently, and you'll need to relearn how your skin reacts. The smart move right now is simple. If you have a strong retinol you trust, grab a backup tube this month. Once the new boxes ship, the old version is gone. There's no recall, no announcement, just a quieter label change that most shoppers will never notice. Number 7, and this one stings. Heritage drugstore moisturizers. The boring jar your mum kept on her nightstand, the thick white cream in the squat tub, the unscented French pharmacy staple in the squeeze tube. Half of these brands have been bought by larger conglomerates over the past 2 years, and acquisition almost always means reformulation within about 18 months. Sometimes it's a fragrance change. Sometimes it's swapping out the petrolatum or lanolin base for something cleaner that doesn't actually perform the same on dry winter skin. Sometimes the packaging gets a glow up and the formula quietly gets cheaper. There's never an announcement. Long-time users just notice their skin feels off 1 month, and by the time they check the back of the jar, the formula has been changed for half a year. If you've had a holy grail drugstore moisturizer for years, buy a second jar now and photograph the ingredient list. You'll want that photo later. Now we're getting into the part of the list where it actually starts to matter. Number 6. High percentage L-ascorbic acid vitamin C serums. This is a slow, quiet decline that nobody's calling a decline. L-ascorbic acid is famously unstable, expensive at high concentrations, and brands have been gradually swapping it out for gentler derivatives: ethyl ascorbic acid, tetrahexyl decyl ascorbate, sodium ascorbyl phosphate. The derivatives ship better, last longer on the shelf, and don't sting. The trade-off is that they don't brighten the same way. The famous 15% serum in the brown glass bottle is still around, but several of its closest competitors have quietly switched their hero formulas to derivative blends without changing a word on the front of the box. Here's the trick to check. Look at the ingredient list. If the words ascorbic acid appear in the top 5, alone, not paired with a longer chemical name, that's the real thing. If you see ascorbyl glucoside or ascorbyl tetraisopalmitate instead, that's a derivative. Both have a place, but if you bought the bottle for brightening, you want to know which one you're holding. Number 5, and this category is wider than most people realize: scented body care. Hand creams, body lotions, shower gels with signature scents. The International Fragrance Association has been tightening restrictions on dozens of fragrance compounds for years, and the pace just picked up. Brands are reworking fragrance accords across entire lines to comply. If you've ever bought back a beloved scented lotion and thought, "This smells different, is it me?" It usually wasn't you. The original blend likely contained an aroma compound that's now capped at lower concentrations, and the perfumer rebuilt the scent around what's still allowed. Insiders in fragrance are watching specific note categories right now: certain florals, certain woods, certain gourmand vanillas that are next on the list. If a body care scent is part of your identity, grab another bottle now. The next launch will smell adjacent. It won't smell identical. Number 4. Acid toners. The strong ones with high concentrations of glycolic and salicylic acid that built the chemical exfoliation category in the first place. Two pressures are landing on this category at the same time. Regulatory bodies in multiple regions are reviewing maximum allowed concentrations of alpha-hydroxy acids in leave-on products, and some of the proposals on the table would force brands to lower the percentage or shift the product into professional-only sales. At the same time, brands are using these reviews as cover to launch gentler, daily versions with added soothing actives. The marketing calls it innovation. For shoppers who actually needed the strength, for texture, for post-acne marks, for stubborn congestion, the new versions don't deliver. If you've been using a strong acid toner that works, stock up while the current formula is still on shelves and read the actual percentage on the back of the bottle. Not what the marketing on the front says, the percentage. Number 3. High percentage mineral sunscreen. Specifically the elegant, near-invisible zinc oxide formulas from Asian and Australian brands that took TikTok by storm. These are getting hit from two directions at once. Cosmetic-grade zinc supply tightened in the last 12 months, and brands are competing for smaller monthly allocations. At the same time, certain silicone-based ingredients that make those formulas feel weightless are being phased out under new sustainability rules. The result is that every few months, a holy grail SPF quietly changes texture. Long-time users feel it the first time they put it on. It pills under makeup. It leaves a chalkier cast. It absorbs slower. New buyers have nothing to compare it to, so they assume that's how it always was. If your mineral SPF actually works on your skin tone and disappears the way you need it to, buy a backup this season. Quick insider tip: check the batch code on the box. Pre-2025 batches of most of the popular formulas are noticeably more cushiony. Number 2, and this one's not a regulation story, this is a margin story. Foundation and cream blush shades from the inclusive ranges that launched in the last 5 years. Brands across every price tier are quietly trimming their shade ranges. The deepest shades and the most undertone-specific ones tend to go first because they sell in lower volumes per SKU. If you finally found your exact shade after years of mixing, do not assume it'll be there next time you walk into the store. Long-time beauty community members are already buying 2 bottles when they find their match in stock, especially in cream and liquid formulas. Powders forgive a little. Liquids and creams oxidize differently on every skin chemistry, so a replacement shade is almost never one-to-one. What brands launch in place of discontinued shades is usually consolidated. Broader undertones designed to cover more people imperfectly instead of fewer people exactly. If you've got a shade that genuinely works on you, treat it like a limited edition. Functionally, it is. And number 1, the one I told you to check your shelf for, the one that matters most. Barrier repair creams. The rich, slightly old-school night creams built around ceramides, cholesterol, and fatty acids in a specific ratio, often with petrolatum, lanolin, or squalane as the base. The category that exploded during the skin barrier era of the past 4 years, and the category facing the most pressure right now of anything on this list. 3 things are landing at once. The clean beauty movement is pushing brands to remove petrolatum and lanolin, even though both are among the most effective occlusives ever studied, and brands are caving for marketing reasons, not performance reasons. Several of the most cult-loved barrier creams have changed corporate ownership in the last 2 years, and ownership changes almost always lead to reformulation. And the price of high-grade ceramides has gone up sharply, which is pushing brands to quietly lower the active ratios that made these creams work in the first place. Here's why this one is at number 1. Barrier repair creams are the foundation of routines that actually fix skin. People build entire regimens around them. Acne treatment, retinol use, post-procedure healing, eczema-prone winters, everything. If your barrier cream gets reformulated and you don't catch it for 2 months, you can spend that whole stretch wondering why your skin looks dull, why your retinol suddenly stings, why your makeup won't sit right. You'll change everything else in your routine first. You'll blame the weather, your water, your hormones. The cause won't be in your routine. It'll be in the jar. The advice from people who watch this category for a living is simple. If you have a heavy night cream that genuinely repairs your skin, buy a backup now. Photograph the ingredient list. Write the batch code somewhere you'll remember. And if you ever notice the texture, the smell, or the absorption changing between purchases, trust that. It's almost always real, even when the brand insists nothing has changed. A last thought before you go. The point of this list isn't to panic buy your whole routine. Skincare moves in cycles, and some reformulations turn out better than the originals. But the pattern across all 9 of these is that brands have stopped telling you when things change. The reformulation announcements of 10 years ago, when new formulas were marketed as upgrades, have quietly turned into silent swaps. The box looks identical. The formula inside has been adjusted to cut costs, dodge new rules, or stretch tighter supply. Beauty buyers aren't reacting emotionally to this. They're just paying attention to batch codes, reading ingredient lists every single time, and quietly stocking up on the things they actually rely on. That's the entire game right now. The shoppers winning in beauty aren't the ones spending the most. They're the ones noticing first. Save the video. Check your shelf tonight.